And Pudge is there. Let's see. He comes up just a bit short. An extra link in the chain, and that's a death.
Unfortunate, man. That really needed that Brewmaster kill, too. I mean, everything they can get, they're going to have to take at this point. The fact of the matter is, even though Zenith has a Tide Hunter, once the Ravage goes off, if they decide that they don't want to fight...
Siren pops the ulti and catches two. There's the clap and the ulti. Two very dead players from Zenith. Lesh drops immediately. Yeah, that's just two very dead heroes. That's what's going to happen every single time. And wow, they're going to get... actually, well, Tide's going to make him pay for it, but they are going to get him. Now Pudge shows up. He's going to try and get in the fight, but he's just going to melt. And that's 4-0, 18-11. This has the potential to get way out of hand if another fight goes like that.
It already is kind of out of hand, to be honest. I mean, gold lead about 5,000 right now in favor of Royal Elite. Only 15 minutes in and about 5,000 experience as well for them. And they just picked a team where they're just capitalizing on Naga Siren. I mean, that hero just, again, it's a hero that doesn't require much in terms of communication. I mean, you're going to basically, all right, we're going in, and then you pop your ult, and then everyone's asleep, and then they can't do anything, and you just have a perfect initiation every fight. That hero is like the I win initiation hero. So,
well, let's see what World Elite can do. They get one tower, they're going to press for two. Looks like they want to. Moving up, down go the wards from Rasta. Split Earth is going to catch nothing but creeps. And Zenith looks like they want to challenge it. Yeah, we're just going to see World Elite pull back. And I think this is a wise maneuver. They're way ahead right now. They know it. No reason to you hate to say it, repeat a mistake they made last time that flat out cost them game one. Where they just really forced a fight that didn't need to happen at that moment. Instead, just going to pull back, take their wins in terms of the kills and in terms of the one tower, and leave that second tower for another day.
Yeah, I like the decision, too. Just, you know what, let's get out of here. We know we're ahead.
Yep.
You know, don't push anything silly that we don't have to. We didn't have Naga Siren ult anyway.
Yep.
And honestly, turtling out for them is probably better anyway. I mean, you have a Lycan. And actually, it looks like Pudge is going to fall here as well.
Yep, Pudge is going to drop. And as good a start as Loda had, it doesn't matter at this point. He can't win it by himself. And for reasons all their own, I suppose, Zenith picked a lineup that more or less necessitated that Pudge win it on his own.
And just against the lineup that World Elite has, like, a Pudge against these heroes is a manly pick in itself. But these are heroes played by exceptionally good players, too, so you can't just say, oh, you know, we can just skill difference them or something like that. That's not really not going to happen, especially not when you have Brewmaster Ultimate, Naga Ultimate, Lycan, Rasta wards, and just, I don't know. Like, how do you win a team fight against those heroes when you have a Pudge on your team, especially when your Storm Spirit that hasn't had the start that he's wanted either?
Yeah. Well, and more, I mean, it's everything you just mentioned is dead on the money, but then you have Lycan, who's already got a Necro Book too, and is just going to push a tower. Like, if you ever go somewhere to smoke gank, and you don't account for him, he's going to notice you're gone, and he's just going to go kill a tower. There is no room for error right now. Literally no room for error whatsoever for Zenith. 6-6 on Loda, and those 6 deaths are really hurting him. The 6 kills, not shabby at 17 minutes. Not great, not shabby. But dying 6 times, and just now has his first point in the Flesh Heap. And I know, typical builds, what have you, that's fine. But, I mean, he got some work done, but I don't know that he got enough done to prevent the 100% momentum steamroll that's barreling down middle lane right now. Speaking of, mid lane tower, tier 2 does drop. There's a gush in the face. Oh, there's a good hook. That's what he needs. Off goes the Ravage as well, so they pick off Enchantress. And they're going to get Chan as well. This is what Zenith needed. Oh, wow, Brewmaster able to get out courtesy of the Naga Siren ulti. And right now, Zenith has got to be wondering why they just don't ban her.
Yeah, they get one hero, and then Naga Siren's like, oh, you guys were going to win this team fight?
Nah,
just kidding. See you guys later.
We're even. Yeah, it's, Naga Siren's a good hero. Pretty good hero. There's a hook. It's going to catch Lycan. Storm Spirit going to follow up. Catches Icy. So they do get another kill on the backside. So, I mean, again, Zenith, they have the potential to stay in this game and to make a game of it. They have the potential to win this game. Make no mistake. They do have the Tide Hunter. It's hard to imagine a situation where they're going to go into a team fight and not be... I mean, even if Pudge lands a hook, it's hard to... If it's one of those situations where if Pudge lands a hook, Naga Siren wades in, and, you know, yeah, he ends up killing one person. Naga Siren wades in, blows the ulti, and the rest of World Elite pulls back. If Pudge misses a hook, she blows the ulti, and they just go engage and win a team fight.
Yeah, you just summed it up pretty much. It's just that hero allows you to engage on your terms. That's the strength of the hero. And the fact of the matter is, they have better team fight anyway, even without the Naga.
Yep.
I mean, Storm needs farm to really be effective in team fights. So does Leshrac. Leshrac's playing more of a support role this game. He does have 66 CS, so he's not doing terribly. It's just, they need more, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, the Venomancer's going to have his mech sometime soon, but what good is a mech going to do you if your heroes are dead before you can really even use it? I mean, you're going to have the Brewmaster popping in every time with the Blink and the Thunderclap. You have Fork Lightning, which is maxed out now on the Shadow Shaman as well. He's level 9, already has his wards up and a Blink as a support, so
right.
He's definitely not hurting for money. I mean, I just don't really know what Zenith is going to be able to do against this team.
Well, we got a 3-man, making 4-man squad that's roaming towards the 2-man squad of Loda and Tide. Let's see if they spot each other. And looks like someone has been found out. Lesh making his way there. And yeah, there's the blink ahead. Looks like Tide's going to be caught out. Hexed. Oh, good hook! Pulling his buddy to safety, but there's Naga Siren. And that's just 2 very dead heroes. That's, I mean, yeah, it's reached a point where even when there's a good play out of Loda or anyone else on the map, I mean, and yeah, they're going to get a tower because they're getting Roche fine, whatever. But what do you do? I don't know why they picked Pudge, okay? I'm just going to say it. The Pudge pick has killed him. Just utterly killed him this time around. On the top side, we're going to have another death. Veno going to drop very easily. Shackled and beaten to death by Brewmaster. But we'll see. I mean, it wouldn't surprise me at all to possibly see GG's if another team fight or two just goes as horribly as the last few have.
Yeah, I don't think it's too far-fetched either. I mean, Zenith can definitely duke it out if they want to, but I feel like it's almost futile at this point. I don't really mind the Pudge pick as much as I mind the fact that they didn't ban out Naga.
Yeah.
That's the hero that basically kept World Elite in that last game for 51 minutes.
Yeah.
There was nothing else that they could do aside from run in, try to get Naga before the ultimate was up again, and once she gets level 16, it's a 60-second cooldown.
Yep.
So every single team fight she's going to have it. And I just don't understand why they gave it away twice after seeing the potency of it in the first game.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. I like a Pudge pick under any circumstances is going to be kind of a eye-opener, if not a jaw-dropper. But when you give away Naga, why do you pick Pudge? I mean, again, there's only so many ways we can say it. You land a Pudge hook, and they just go, okay, we're just not going to fight now. And there's no way you can initiate into us because we choose not to fight. We're just going to waddle back to our base and make you push into towers. And then we can buy back and fight that way if we have to. It just, if you're gonna give away Naga, don't pick Pudge, I guess. I think that's what it comes down to. Storm Spirit has completed an Orchid, so he's gonna be looking to silence some fools here and there. And, you know, in all fairness, Pudge started out really solidly, and the hooks have been landing. It's just the follow-ups have not been able to get the kills that Loda has needed.
Pretty much, and that's largely due to the fact that there's really only 2 heroes on World Elite that he can pick on, per se. I mean, you have a Rasta and you have an Enchantress, and that's pretty much it. Everyone else has a reasonable amount of HP. Heck, he hooks the Lycan, and the Lycan's pretty much by himself, like in a one-on-one scenario where typically you would be scared of a Pudge. The Lycan's not going to care. You're just going to turn into a wolf and right-click him down.
Right.
So it's just a really, really tough game.
Oh, there's going to be a 3-man clap from Brew. Good initiation once again. Rasta Ward's going to trap Freedom. Now Pudge unable to even kill off Rasta. Now Pudge hexed, taking a lot of damage on the backside. Off goes the Ravage, but too little too late. That's 4-0 once again.
Yep, and Naga didn't even have to ult right there.
Yeah.
They pretty much just killed them all. And like I said, they had a very strong team fight draft to begin with, so yeah, good game, well played coming out. Yeah, I'm not surprised at all.
I think that's fair. Yeah, utterly.
I mean, Aim 3 Naga ban?
Please, blocks. Want to buy Naga ban? Storm Spirit harassing World Elite. 15,000 gold the differential in the GGs with typed. Experience 14,000. Usually going to be about the same in this kind of situation either way. But I mean, credit where credit's due. World Elite. It's one thing to go, well, we picked a lineup that should on paper win. World Elite didn't just win; they won profoundly. And yeah, looks like we have a couple of disconnects from Zenith. In the meantime, World Elite pulling back to their side of the map, and there's Chi-Chi. Yeah, they're starting to notice, I think. Players are leaving. But World Elite executed. They had a big advantage coming out of the pick ban, but that's not the whole story. It never is that the whole story. In fact, Game 1 taught us that's not the whole story. But they didn't make the mistakes this time. They got the job done, my friend.
Yeah, definitely. That buff to Riptide, especially in the Ultimate, makes her a much, much better hero than I remember. Because back when I played it, it was just like a one-cast deal,
yep.
And it would just last a duration. And then she had a, I think, crit built in, other than the Riptide. But after the early game buff and the Ultimate buff being a pulse, I mean, that's a really strong freaking hero, man.
Yeah, first ban, first pick worthy. 100% agreed. MVP, let's go ahead and get this out of the way. Let's talk about it. Who got the job done? It's easy to point to Naga Siren, who did pretty well in mid against Leshrac. I feel like Enchantress played exceptionally well. She was able to apply the pressure that we both agreed was going to be so instrumental if World Elite was not going to let the game get away from them and let Pudge be super effective. Enchantress just seemed to be everywhere on the map she needed to be. Just bounced from lane to lane to lane and almost always got a kill for her trouble.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I mean, playing a jungler is always a hard role, especially because your movement is so much more important than everyone else's. I mean, supports can kind of gank once in a while and not be successful and not suffer so much for it, but especially as an Enchantress, you need to make sure that you're getting farmed somewhere, like on and off. It's not like a Chen where you can just walk around at Hand of God and say, you know what, I'm just an ult bot basically, and a slow and a nuke at best, along with my creeps. You know, Enchantress actually needs to be effective, and I think that Luo did a great job, and really just overall well done by World Elite.
Well played all around. The Pudge pick didn't work out. It's the second unorthodox pick in a row coming out of Zenith. Let's see if they're going to keep it going with the third, or if maybe they're going to dial it back to something a little more typical. We'll find out. Game number 3 on the way. Best of 3 round of 8 action between Zenith and World Elite. I'm AC. That's Draskell. Stick with us. We'll be right back.
sunshine. In a bag I'm useless, but not for long. The future is coming on. I ain't happy, I'm feeling glad. I got sunshine. In a bag I'm useless, but not for long. The future is coming on. It's coming on. It's coming on. It's coming on. It's coming on.
Priceless to you because I put you on the hype shit. You like it? Gun smoke, you righteous with one toke. You're psychic among no possess you with one go.
I'm feeling glad. I got sunshine. In a bag I'm useless, not for long. The future is coming on. Ain't happy, I'm feeling glad. I got sunshine. In a bag I'm useless, but not for long. The future is coming on. It's coming on. It's coming on. It's coming on. It's coming on.
The essence, the basics, without it you make it. Allow me to make this childlike in nature. Rhythm, you have it or you don't, that's a fallacy, I'm in them. Every sprouting tree, every child of peace, every cloud and sea. You see with your eyes, I see destruction and demise. Corruption in the skies from this fucking enterprise. Now I'm sucked into your lives through rust, so not his muscles, but percussion he provides for me as a guide. Y'all can see me now cause you don't see with your eye. You perceive with your mind, that's the inner. So I'ma stick around with Russ and be a mentor. Bust a few rhymes so motherfuckers remember what the thought is. I brought all this so you can survive when law is lawless. Feeling sensations that you thought was dead. No squealing, remember that it's all in your head.
I ain't happy.
Radiant team ban.
Well, we're going to have a Game 3. Game 1, very surprising ending. World Elite kind of gave the game away. Game number 2, Zenith kind of gave it away in a different way. Zenith with a really, really chancy pick of Pudge after giving away Naga Siren to World Elite. And World Elite able to capitalize. We'll see if Zenith's going to keep up to their antics or if maybe they're going to fall back to something a bit more standard here in game number 3.
Yeah, I'm hoping that Zenith, maybe they were kind of messing around in the first and second games, which, you know what, in a tournament setting, I don't know if that's the best way to go about things anyway, but they did manage to win game 1 at least, so it's 1-1. I think now, though, the pretense of, we're coming here just to kind of mess around and do our own thing might have been dropped. I think Zenith is probably going to be bringing their A game for the game 3. I don't think they want to just drop out of the tournament because they want to pick random stuff like Pudge and leave Naga Siren in the pool for a third time in a row. But however, they do have first pick this game, so they're not going to have to be the ones who ban it out. If they do get that first pick in of a Naga, I think they're going to be in pretty good shape, and World Elite's not going to take it. Oh, no, the shoe's on the other foot now. I just want to call a good game already, Good game, Naga Siren.
It's been one of those days where, Naga Siren, obviously a new hero, and one that is going to take some getting used to, but they just gave away a Dark Seer and a Naga Siren, and to a lesser extent, a Queen of Pain. And Queen of Pain has really been on the ascension lately in terms of popularity in the professional scene across all geographic locations. Just such a very strong hero, very versatile in the way she can be run and built. Combine that, all the AoE damage potential with a Naga Siren, with Dark Seer that's going to have that beautiful setup from the ulti of Naga. Again, it's World Elite looked good in both games. Take nothing away from them. Game 1, we're not going to go over that again. Went away, ended up turning out a very surprising manner due to some questionable decision-making down the stretch from World Elite. But they're a good team. They're showing that they can hang with Zenith. Unorthodox picks be damned. The first 3 out of Zenith are about as scary a first 3 picks as you're ever going to see.
Well, not only did they get Naga, but they got another hero who is considered like way up there at the top, which is Dark Seer to boot. Those 2 heroes alone, I don't really know what World Elite's going to do about this. I mean, typically when you see Darkseer out, you like to get heroes like Night Stalker, VS, just any single target stuns or crowd control abilities to keep him from using all his skills in a team fight, because that's really the problem. I mean, once he gets his wall down, one decent vacuum, after that point it's too late. I mean, even if you lock him down and manage to kill him after that stage, he's already done his damage, basically. And Queen of Pain can pretty much be the same role here. She can get in on team fights with Blink, and they're going to need something. And Tidehunter's definitely a step in the right direction to stopping their momentum. They're not going to let them get the Tide Ravage along with a Vacuum and a Queen of Pain and a Naga Siren ult. I think that's a good countermeasure. And giving it away definitely would have been a mistake in general. So I think that World Elite's trying to do what they can to prevent this lineup from Zenith from becoming just like the level 6 you lose team.
Yeah, obviously. If you're just tuning in, I'm AC, joined by Draskell for the broadcast. This is our Game 3 of our first round of 8 matchup between Zenith and World Elite here in Monthly Madness Asia. 2 very interesting games preceded this, and we've seen Naga Siren played in every game so far. First time Zenith has gotten their hands on her, however. We'll see how, I mean, World Elite knew how to use it to pretty solid effect. Got a feeling that's going to be the case with Zenith as well. And yeah, I'm of the mind that the unorthodox picks have reached their end here for Zenith.
Yeah, you can kind of just tell that, at least in my opinion, the mentality of the picks has just gone from, you know what, let's try to have a little bit of fun with this. It's like, okay, we're just going to win now. We're done with getting Nogged twice in a row. We're just going to go ahead and take him ourselves, and just probably, I mean, like, watching that hero in play, like, I'm just trying to think of what you do to stop that. Like, what do you do to stop that from happening? That's really what I'm questioning, aside from just not giving the hero away in general. I mean, it's got to be a lot to do with keeping her locked down in the laning phases. Obviously, her getting 6 is going to be a big problem, and you have to just have a tremendous lead, maybe even split push, try to do whatever you can, but even split push strategies, like, you can force the team back by running down mid and forcing a 5-on-5 engagement, or they just lose their base at some point. I mean, it's a really, really tough hero in general to play against, and I think we might be seeing her get banned out very, very soon in the first 6.
Yeah, I'm with you. If we've ever needed a good reason to think that she's going to be first pick, first ban, more often first ban worthy, I think we've gotten the reason right here. Like, the fact that Furion was banned out, has been banned out in every game, and she hasn't, is just kind of mind-blowing to me. Furion, very strong hero, make no mistake, but as we kind of touched on last time around while we were going through the picks and the bans, Furion's efficacy has just really fallen off hardcore. The meta has kind of passed him up a little bit. He's almost exclusively a long laner now. That's just the only place where he can actually feel super effective. I mean, once in a blue moon you'll see him do something like mid, or even in the jungle. We've seen him defensively jungled once or twice in the past month or two, but just very rarely do you see it. And I think Furion may have reached the end of his time in the first 3 ban, as a first 3 perma ban, I should say. Bans are done, and Enchantress is going to be picked up from Zenith. Enchantress being seen a lot today as well. Chen was seen in game number 1, Enchantress seen in game 2, and now going to be handled by Zenith again in game number 3. No Enigma Morphling coming out from Zenith, so taking away more team fight potential by taking Enigma out of the pool. And Sand King and Earthshaker are both out, courtesy of World Elite. Certainly don't want to see either of those heroes synergize with the already strong pairing of Siren and Darkseer.
That pair in general is really scary, but you also have a Queen of Pain you have to keep in mind as well. Like, the burst damage is going to be coming out from that combo if they line it up properly. And it's not going to be too hard, considering they're going to have a Naga Siren to start everything off. It's going to be really freaking hard. Like, the one thing they have going from the World Elite has Tide, so if they ever group up too much, the Tide can counter Ravage if he's able to. I mean, they don't have any stuns really per se. They have Vacuum to interrupt cast time and an Ensnare. They don't have anything to stop the Tide from actually ulting. They just have a lot of very, very high damage output and kind of like try to group you together and drop you abilities. But, I mean, still Zenith looking very, very scary at this moment. I think they're probably going to be doing the standard long lane Darkseer, have the Enchantress in the woods kind of doing her thing, defensive trialing with the Naga bottom lane, so I'm thinking they're going to want to support as their last pick, and same can be said for World Elite. Yeah, they're going to go ahead and take VS here, which I think is a very, very good choice. Like I said, a lot of people favor her against Darkseer, specifically because not only is minus armor great against him because he doesn't typically build armor and his base armor itself isn't that high, you get the single target stun, you get the swap, you can help out your teammates, so definitely a great choice for World Elite. Man, like, can Naga lose? That's what I'm wondering right now. I just really don't want to count World Elite out, but after seeing those 2 games, it's like it took everything in World Elite's power to throw away that first game. Like, they literally did the absolute worst case scenario, and they executed it it couldn't have been any worse. So, with that being said, they barely lost.
Yeah,
so
barely.
In the hands of Zenith. Ooh, and a Rubik to boot. Oh, man.
You can honestly say in Game 1, World Elite was 30 seconds away from victory. If they wait 30 seconds for Ravage to come up on Tide, to come off cooldown, and then go do what they did, which was just rush down mid, start banging on the towers, and focus the Ancient, I think they're okay. Wow. Kunkka. I've never seen a Kunkka play professionally. Holy crap.
Well, Kunkka is definitely a pretty decent choice here. It's mainly because of the fact that heroes like Queen of Pain, Enchantress, Rubik, they're all pretty low base HP heroes. If Kunkka gets a decent farm, he can still do a tremendous amount of damage with the Tidebringer combination. If he wants to go Lothars, he can definitely do that. But I think the thing that's really interesting here is the fact that Tidehunter and Kunkka are mortal enemies. They can't be on the same team.
That's impossible, man. Well, I don't know. Maybe they've come together. The enemy of my enemy is my friend. Naga Siren, just too much. She looks like she's probably, I don't know the exact lore connection. I know the lore connection between Kunkka and Tide, but maybe Siren is involved. Maybe she's an ex-lover of some sort, of both, and they've just united to give her dues. Either way, jokes aside, looking at the lineups, it's hard to imagine. I mean, well, I'm just going to let World Elite prove me wrong. Please prove me wrong, guys. That's what we want to see. Prove both of us wrong, because right now, Zenith's team looks so unbelievably scary, it's hard to put into words. We're going to have Ice playing our Naga Siren. Darkseer going to be handled by the... no, that's actually Loda, it looks like, handling him. And we're going to have Freedom on our Enchantress. Rubik going to be handled by High and Drakon. I'm going to guess that's the stand-in, who's played under a number of different names today. And XY going to be playing our Queen of Pain. Cross the River, Lycan going to be handled by Luo. Tide going to be played by Icy. Venomancer going to be handled by FNTY. Kunkka, the surprise pick this time around. We've had 3 games with 3 very unorthodox picks, by the way. Just this time happens to be we surprising us all. Chan handling the admirable Admiral. And GG playing our Venge.
These lanes are, I think, pretty optimal for World Elite. They really can't do anything else. Looking at their heroes, especially, I mean, the Lycan can go into the jungle, do his own thing, and right now they're probably just going to be sending Venomancer to the long lane. There's not really anything else, unless they want to send the Tide there. I suppose it's a possibility, but he's not going to get anything done. He's probably not even going to be in experience range. The one thing about Kunkka, too, that I wanted to hit on before the game actually gets underway is this hero is very similar to Pudge in the sense that you have to land your skills. You have to.
Yeah.
If you don't land torrents, you don't land your boats, the hero is just basically not effective. They do have some kind of failsafe, and once he gets up to like the 12 or 11 or 12 mark, he can get the X marks a spot to level 2, which pretty much guarantees that you'll always be able to land torrents, which is nice. But that's not going to be for a while, so they're just going to basically be relying on him to farm in the early phases.
Well, here we go. We're underway. Queen of Pain setting up shop in mid. We are going to have the defensive tri-lane on bottom, as expected. Rubik supporting our Naga Siren with Enchantress in the jungle. Going to be a solo lane Tide. Been a while since we've seen that. Not too uncommon. Just you and I personally haven't seen it in a while. And we're going to have Kunkka up against Darkseer at top with Lycan in the jungle. Venge just staring at the haste rune for the moment. We'll see where she decides to go once she picks up. I can only imagine she'll be joining Kunkka at top here shortly. But this Tidehunter is going to be real careful. And just as I say it, looks like we're going to have First Blood. Dark Troll Warlord locks him down, put it in the books. First Blood is going to go to Naga Siren. That's not the start you want, World Elite. And that was a Tidehunter that was just way too far forward. In the meantime, Loda in some trouble, pulling back through his own tower, taking a little bit of harassment damage following the stun from Venge, but Venge can't seal the deal.
Well, I mean, they are going to have a free farming Kunkka, which is great, but they're going to have a free farming Naga Siren, which I can't help but think is better in this particular game. I mean, how do you argue against it when you've seen how potent she can already be? I mean, that's just the question that I have. I don't know the answer.
What's Icy going to do here except die? Like, really, they're going to be able to just about kill him as much as they want. Yeah, they may get him again. Yeah, there's the ensnare following the Dark Troll Warlord, locking him down. He's going to make it to safety, but just barely. But yeah, I mean, they can't let these lanes continue. Like, just looking at it already, they're going to take this tower in about 90 seconds at most. And at top, Darkseer, just by virtue of being Darkseer, is going to at least be able to stay alive. So it's not like they're going to be getting a gigantic advantage out of the free farming Kunkka. They're going to be, I mean, it's nice. Obviously, you want a hero like that to get the farm, but They're not going to be picking off Darkseer too often, and Tidehunter is going to get next to nothing up here. Or down here, I should say.
Especially... Tidehunter's not going to be getting anything, and Kunkka is an okay choice here against the Soul Darkseer because Tidebringer can actually be used to basically deny creeps from a very high percentage of HP because it doesn't actually take the proc away, so you're still hitting very, very hard. It helps deny against the Ion Shell, which is the only way he's going to be able to get CS anyway.
Right.
So he's going to get shut down pretty hard. He's actually got absolutely 0 CS. So they're doing a pretty good job, and it looks like Kunkka is actually choosing to get a rank of X early. So I think he's going to go for the 1 Torrent, max Tidebringer, 2 into X to just guarantee the stun rather than relying on it to do a tremendous amount of damage, which is, it's just preference, really.
Yeah.
I mean, some players like going to max Torrent and not getting X until later, but he wants to have the assured stun, which I think is the right call here, especially if you want to kill a Darkseer.
Absolutely. Should say they're not applying as much pressure to Tide now. Rubik and Enchantress both have pulled back. I thought they were really just going to pour it on and just go ahead and take the tower and force some kind of reaction out of World Elite. Instead, playing much more passively as Rubik dips into the jungle. Looks like Enchantress looks to change that up, though. She has smoked up. She's got 2 Centaurs. And let's see who and what they can catch. Vino has been holding his own here in mid. Not doing an amazing job, but doing pretty solid. At least I don't think... Yeah, 12 last hits. Not... Oh, wow, actually beating Queen of Pain. Hang on, he's going to get caught. There's stomp number 1, stomp number 2. And that's going to be another kill in the books for Zenith. Very well executed. Enchantress very close to death. Manages to stay alive in the meantime. Darkseer being chased back to his own tower. Not going to be able to kill him. And again, that's just Darkseer. So Kunkka gets the farm, but another kill goes in favor of Zenith.
Yeah, and this Kunkka actually opted not to get the 3rd rank of Tidebringer. He just went double X straight away. So they're really looking to try to get some kind of kills going on here, which, again, I think it's the right decision to make. Especially, like, Darkseer, hero's so mobile that you need to have, like, double stun at the very least just to be able to try to kill him. So I think that if they can make something happen in the top lane, it's going to be greatly to their benefit. And the solo Venommancer mid, I mean... This is something that I think has been done a couple of times, and you're just not relying on your wards as much as you're relying on your simple dot damage output.
Yeah.
I see some people choose to max Poison Sting and Gale and just get the early ranks into Poison Nova, and people really underestimate how much damage that stuff does in the early game.
Oh, yeah.
Like, Poison Nova at level 1 still does a lot if you're not in a support role because you're hitting 6 much, much faster, and relative to everything else on the map, I mean, it's a lot of damage. So I really think that this is some interesting stuff coming out from World Elite. I hope it actually works out for them, though.
Icy with an Invis rune, staying safe, just soaking up XP where he can. Now going to go ahead and get back to safety. Lycan very quiet right now. It's worth mentioning, of course, Lycan's going to be a factor at some point. He has been left completely to his own devices here in the jungle. Absolutely no attempt to counter jungle whatsoever out of Zenith. And we'll see how much that comes back to bite them. He will be coming out on Darkseer soon, I'm fairly sure. And yeah, he's not quite 6 yet. He's halfway there. He's coming out pretty far. We'll see if he decides to go ahead and go for it. You'd think he'd want to wait for 6. And there's the X marks the spot. He's going to be pulled back and caught with a beautiful torrent follow-up stun from Venge. There we go. Finally able to kill the annoying little purple guy. That's what they needed. Get on the board. 1-2, favoring Zenith.
That's the kind of gank they're looking for, and like I said, that's pretty much exactly what they needed. You saw it took a lot to take him down, even though he was pretty low level. And now they have the Lycan in the lane as well, so this tower is going to be taking a tremendous amount of damage. And Loda can't even TP back up there. He actually has to TP to the back tower, and Enchantress is going to make her way here, but I think that they actually should be able to defend this maybe at the last second, but they did waste their glyph already, so maybe not. Yeah, they're not going to be able to stop it. So Lycan gets a tower kill. That's definitely great for them. But Kunkka doesn't have any mana, so they can't fight this.
Right. He's going to have to pull back. That's going well. In the meantime, Naga Siren does continue to free farm. 1,200 gold already in the bank. Already has Poor Man's Shield as well, so she's getting the job done. I want to point out, I said earlier, I was actually quite wrong. Veno's been doing a pretty extraordinary job, all things considered. It's narrowed a bit, pretty much even in CS for Queen of Pain and Veno, but as you pointed out, by just relying on the Sting and the Venomous Gale and just the pure damage output that's going to grant him, he's done a good job hanging in mid here against XY. But I mean, it's the same story as always, man. We can talk about how well or how poorly people are doing, but once Naga hits 6, which she has just now, and gets the mana back to be able to burn her ulti, things are going to change. The entire complexion of the game just changes massively once that's a possibility.
Yeah, I mean, Zenith has what I would call the epitome of an R-button team.
Yeah.
And for those of you who don't actually use legacy keys, R is just the ultimate. Yeah. Like for the newer age players, I guess you could say. But yeah, man, I don't I don't know. I really hope they can do something against it because I want to know more about it. Like, what can you do against a Naga? Because I haven't seen her played that much. It's been years since I've seen the hero actually at all. So once the sleep starts coming out, and actually opting to get a Midas too. So Ice 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 looking for more of a late game style build, which I think is okay at this phase. They are against a Lycan and a Tide, but they're not really too worried about getting pushed down that fast because you can always stop a push by just walking up and putting them to sleep.
Yep, pretty much. And I think I'm with you. It's a wise choice. I mean, she doesn't lose that much by it, obviously. I mean, you don't pick Naga because you expect her to win you the game at 20 minutes through right-click damage. You pick a Naga because her ult is her ult. And they're just going to use that. I mean, she can afford to play a little bit passively so far as pure utility outside of her ult. And she's just going to be able to use the Riptide and Ensnare to lock down kills whenever they decide to smoke up. Team fights, I mean, she obviously brings more to it than just the ulti. And Lycan does get the Aegis, so World Elite. I mean, this is a very quiet early game. It's worth mentioning, by the way. We've had some very active early games in Game 1 and 2. Only 3 kills total on the board as we roll past 8 minutes. And you know, it's good and bad. Zenith really could have forced the issue down here on bottom. Instead, they're just allowing Naga to free farm. They didn't try to push the tower when they very obviously could have. Tide, as a consequence, is level 6. He's gotten a surprising amount of farm and levels following the passivity that we saw out of Zenith. And wow, okay, there's the X marks the spot. I was going to say surely he's not going to get away, and he won't. Venge able to get the kill there on Darkseer. And down on the bottom side, they're actually going to go ahead and pick off Rubik as well. So World Elite, trying to hit their stride at the right moment. Not too scared of the Naga Siren ulti, apparently.
Yeah, not too scared at all. Definitely nice getting a pickup on the Darkseer, and to be honest, World Elite is actually coming out ahead in terms of golden experience here, so the lane's working out quite well. Actually, 3,000 experience ahead, that's quite a bit considering it's only 9 minutes in, but a lot of that is definitely due to that Roshan kill, so that's going to help give them a little bit of a boost into the mid stages, and that's exactly what they need too. They need something to try to compensate for the fact that Naga Siren is going to have her ultimate up. They're going to have the Darkseer wall coming out sometime soon. I don't think he'll probably get it until 10 or 11, that's standard. For most Darkseer players, and then Queen of Pain also with her ulti. I mean, it's just, they need to coordinate decent team fights.
Yeah, absolutely. And it looks like World Elite wants to get on the warpath. They all come charging down bottom lane. Kunkka just hanging out by his lonesome in mid. In the meantime, Lycan leading the charge. Veno, Venge, and Tide in tow. And yeah, he is going to go ahead and make his move, so we're going to have TP reactions. Siren is going to be there along with Rubik. Enchantress is in the woods. Darkseer and Queen of Pain left to do their thing in their respective lanes. And we'll see how much they want to commit here. They are just going to go ahead and charge in. Siren is back there. She uses the mirror image, sends in the illusions. And not too overcommitted at this point from either one. I mean, World Elite's right up there banging, but they haven't tried to... Oh, there we go. There's the Naga Siren ulti. In comes the TP reaction behind it as well. Rubik is there. Darkseer's there with the vacuum, and no wall, however. World Elite's there in force. The ulti just kind of was the calm before the storm. Now all the abilities go off at once. Veno going to try and get back to safety. Queen of Pain's there with the haste and trying to get back. Venomous Gale lands. Looks like Veno is going to drop as Queen of Pain blinks forward. She's not going to be punished for it. Tide going to drop as well. Impetus doing good damage from the backside. There's the surge. Oh, wow. Oh, almost saved the Tide. Rubik actually able to get the kill there. I was surprised. Thought Darkseer was going to get it, but he was torrented. And it bought a little bit of time. Finally, we see some more activity on the scoreboard, 5-3, following that engagement favoring Zenith. And that's about what we expect, really. I mean, Naga Siren just changed the fight. Just 100% changed the way that fight played out.
You remember that time where I said every time World Elite pushes, the Naga Siren's just going to make them all take a nap? Yeah, that's pretty much what they're going to be doing the entire game. They lost one tower top lane, but that was because the Naga wasn't 6. They're going to try to defend, I think, every single tower that they can. Oh, yeah. And there's no Ravage use. This Darkseer is a goner, pretty much. Oh, no, Rubik stole the Ravage, though. That is a big problem.
Yeah, that's pretty huge. Okay. Yeah, the next team fight's going to be a lot of fun to watch. Rubik just... And it's one thing to steal the Ravage after it's been used in the team fight in which you steal it. He's going to have it ready to go. So we're going to see a lot of activity out of Zenith all of a sudden. But there is 90 seconds still remaining on Naga Siren. There's the Ravage from Rubik. They're going to catch 2. Now the vacuum. Impetus from long range. That's 2 very quick deaths on Veno and Tide. And yeah, they just walked right into it, basically. 100% walked into that. Venge taking some damage. Queen of Pain as she tries to retreat. Ooh, big Impetus right in the back. And Snare locks her down. Another kill on the board. Let's see if Zenith wants to continue to press. And yeah, Rubik stayed safe, so he still has Ravage up in 2 minutes.
This is the difference between, I think, when they... I don't want to go as far as to say that they weren't really trying, because that discredits what World Elite did, and I don't want to do that.
No.
Like, I think that World Elite played to win, and they deserved to win the game if they won Game 2. Game 1, they should have won, in my opinion. That should have been a 2-0, obviously, in favor of World Elite, because, again, 30 seconds away from having that second win. If they don't end up taking this game, they're going to be kicking themselves for that so hard, I can't even imagine. So I just think, in general, that Zenith has kind of gotten out of their what's the word I'm looking for here?
Creative mode?
Funk, you know? Well, yeah, creative mode, their funk, what have you. Just they've gotten their head in the game.
Yep.
And that's really what I think that most people came to see today. I mean, Zenith is very, very well known in the international scene. They're one of the best teams in the world.
Yep.
And I think they're starting to kind of go, okay, we should probably show our true colors now.
Yeah, I agree. And this is something that I won't say a criticism, but is being mentioned a lot as we get closer and closer to the international. A lot of folks in the community, fans, analysts, writers, what have you, even some casters, are just beginning to expect that teams are going to start just not throwing games away. They're going to start picking unorthodox stuff instead of showing their real chops a lot of the time. They don't want people to get a good read and a good scouting report on them as they head towards the international. Zenith, of course, a team that's going to be playing in Seattle here in about a month or so. And, that you can't say for sure, but I think it's pretty safe to say that might be at least a small factor as to why they decided a sniper pick in Game 1 and a pudge pick in Game 2 was their best bet. Anyway, Naga Siren blows the ult. He gets 2. In comes the TP reaction, and there's the vacuum, and, yeah, tons of damage. Ravage is still down, but it doesn't matter. Kuka's going to get picked off on the backside, it looks like. They do get him. Just enough damage to bring him down 10-3. Favoring Zenith, and this game continues to feel like it's getting out of reach. Lycan, at the very least, though, is going to take a tower at top, so they're taking what's being given to them. It's just costing them a bit more than I think they're willing to give or should be able to give.
Well, again, I mean, Naga Siren, vacuum together, Queen of Pain. I mean, what else can you do at that point?
Yep.
Even Rubik can pick somebody up and throw them back on the ground for a stun if they absolutely need it. So the coordination coming out from Zenith's lineup is just absolutely ridiculous. Obviously, Rubik is still going to have Ravage, which I think is going to be up here relatively soon for him. Oh, no, he doesn't have it anymore. It actually went away, so he's not going to have Ravage for the next team fight, which is definitely a good thing for World Elite. They don't want to have to deal with a Ravage. That's not why they picked Titan. They're like, you know what? We want a Ravage. We didn't want you to have it.
Exactly.
So.
They're stingy kids, man. They don't want to share their toys. But hard to blame them. And they're going to need a couple of good Ravages. More than a couple. A few. A gaggle. A pinch won't do it. They're going to need at least 1 or 2 major team fights to really get them back in good position as we move towards the mid-game. 15 minutes in, take a look at the gold graph. We're actually about even in gold. Now, that's surprising to me. Zenith is looking good, but it looks like the farm war is definitely 100% going in favor of World Elite. That's, of course, owed in big part to Lycan. He's sitting on 2,700 gold, still has it Aegis, and his Tier 2 boots as well as a Vlad, so he's a threat. He's going to be a threat, but just against the team composition they have, what did he steal? He actually managed to steal Lycan's Wolves. So it's just, Lycan's not enough. It's going to take really solid execution out of everyone, and they're going to have to get a lot more out of Kunkka as we move down the stretch. Like, if they're going to have any hope of winning this game, Kunkka is going to have to play MVP worthy.
Definitely agree. Kunkka is doing a good job, though, so far. I mean, he's got some decent stats. Actually going to pick up Queen of Pain, I think, here on the side.
There's a vacuum back. Yeah, and Lotus shows up at the right time. There's a kill. Vino ulti goes off, catches most of the World Elite squad. Looks like it may cost her life. Queen of Pain managed to survive, doing decent damage while she can. Blinks to safety. However, just so hard to kill an Enchantress, man. They do manage to catch her with the X marks the spot and torrent, so that's good. On the top side, Rubik wanders into the wrong part of town. He's going to be anchor smashed. Manages to pick up Kunkka and stun most of the team, but yeah, he just kind of fed to death. Queen of Pain whiffs on the ulti, doesn't manage to catch the person for whom she was certainly aiming, Kunkka, who manages to make it to safety, even as the Lycan Wolves give chase.
Zenith did a really, really good job there of trying to separate, but just ultimately not enough. They ended up getting a few heroes picked off, and Queen of Pain managed to live, which is definitely to their favor, but that team fight definitely was all World Elite, and they could be having a team fight off this.
Wow. They do manage to pick up
Kunkka.
Yep, was watching the Wolves chase him forever. They do manage to grab him. World Elite takes bottom tower, 6-12. The kill score now. Just glancing around, Tide will be opting for a pipe instead of blink first. And Diffusal Blade going to be the choice for Ice Ice, following the hand of Midas. So, and you know, and I think Diffusal Blade's a solid choice. Just go ahead. Let's go ahead and get even more punchy when it comes to team fights. Not only do we have all the potential we have, but we're just going to go ahead and burn mana, do bonus damage with the illusions. And it's Zenith's game to lose. It really is.
I agree. Their team fights energy is just so much to deal with. And again, in game 1, we saw it. Like,
yep.
Naga Siren is so tough to deal with the Tide especially, but they're not going to have that this game unless, you know, Rubik steals Ravage again. But XY could be in some trouble here. XY
is going to get swapped, blinks right back to where he was. And, not going to make it home for supper. Instead, it's another kill on the board for World Elite. So again, I mean, World Elite is taking what's being given to them. In the meantime, Impetus now doing decent damage. And yeah, they're going to pick off Luo for sure. There we go. In the meantime, in mid, a little bit of aggression being shown. Venomous Gale's going to catch Rubik. Rubik going to have to make a run for it now. Being surged by Darkseer should be enough to get him back safely. Vacuum trying to buy more time. Nope, actually not going to be enough as he drops. And yeah, I mean, I like what World Elite's doing. This is kind of what they need to do. They are going to be at the advantage when they're fighting in small engagements and not allowing the pure team fight potential of Zenith to show itself. But there's only so far that's going to take you, you know what I mean? Like, that's only going to get you so much gold, so much experience. At some point, you're going to have to 5-push. And, you know, I think they're just going to have to do this a lot longer and really execute when the time comes.
The problem is, too, Darkseer is getting higher level, which means his vacuum's going to be level 4 soon.
Yep. And
that's a 575 radius vacuum, so anybody who's caught within remotely close range of each other is going to get sucked together and then bursted down by the Queen of Pain. I mean, that's so hard to overcome in itself, considering nobody on their team has a pipe. They do have a mech on the Venomancer, which is definitely great, but not going to have any magic reduction whatsoever. Just going to take out Roche again, which I think is the right call here. But they need to be careful because they actually have somebody separated from their team. Gigi is way over here doing some offensive warding while the rest of his team is getting caught on the Roche.
There's the Darkseer wall. This is going to be ugly. I do believe Veno ulti does go off. Darkseer looks like he's going to drop. Here comes the boat. Boat's going to whiff. Doesn't catch much of anything. Rubik now making a run for it. Lycan gets a double kill on the backside. However, Siren now where he needs to be. And, wow, Rubik actually threw Venge in the wrong... Yeah, did not throw Venge where Venge needed to be thrown. 15-12, World Elite continues to close the gap, and I'm really surprised that that was not just a 100% Zenith walkover win there. I don't know how World Elite won that, or came out ahead at the very least.
In all honesty, the Nagas didn't even ult. Like, the Naga wasn't there. They, instead of actually going for everybody in the pit who were sitting at, I don't know, like 10 HP, the Tide and the Lycan both got away with basically no health whatsoever. By the way, Lycan got a Hex. Sick next level item by him. Never has to really go back to the base anymore. Just get that mana regen, and now it looks like with buyback, Zenith is going to try to take Roche instead.
Yep. Zenith gonna bang on the big boy, and Chantress doing good damage via Impetus on the top side. And there's going to be a Ravage. They're going to engage. Anchor Smash as well. They managed to pick off Darkseer, but off goes the Naga ulti. And they saved it for the right time, I suppose. Getting healed up. Rubik is there. Luo can't really afford to come down, just way too low of health. Now Tidehunter trying to make it up to the top side. There's the ensnare. Locked down is Chan. Picked up. Thrown down. Taking Impetus damage as well. Veno doing what he can. Just really in and out. This is just a kind of a sloppy fight. And yeah, Venomancer picks up a triple kill. And Rubik looks like he's going to drop as well. Yep, there's the X marks the spot. And the torrent was stolen by Rubik. Yeah, that's a total wipe. Naga Siren forced to buy back, and World Elite's going to get Roche. I'm speechless.
That team fight was just really sloppy. Like, Zenith went in right there. Instead of having the Naga initiate, I mean, the Darkseer still had a really good wall, but they didn't have enough follow-up damage. Like, the Queen of Pain had a good ultimate, but had to blink out, and they are going to get the Aegis. Yep,
they get the Aegis very quickly. Lycan back up and in fighting shape. They're going to get another kill as well. Ice X marks the spot. There's the Hex coming into play. That Scythe device built by Lycan might get him a kill. And no, actually there's going to be the ensnare. And now, yeah, just going to go ahead and run. Darkseer is there, though. Let's see. I mean, the Illusion's just doing so much damage now that Diffusal's done. But, yeah, this is just one of those games where it's not that it's horrible execution. It's just a lot of This is what I call a trickle-in fight. Everyone kind of trickled in one at a time. You didn't have a whole lot of synergy of abilities. You didn't have a whole lot going on except a lot of deaths, and it was just hard to keep up with the mindset both teams had approaching that. And either way, they do get the Aegis on the backside of it, even though World Elite did take down Roche. 19-17, Zenith still barely leads. We'll take a look at the gold graph after we see if they... Yeah, they're just being really aggressive here, all the way up in the enemy jungle. But, yeah, just weird fights, weird times, man.
The Naga just needed to be there sooner and not commit so much on the VS, who is sitting basically in the back. It's a difference between getting like 2 extra hero kills basically right away and not having to force buybacks out of your own team. They would have killed the Tide and the Lycan there for sure.
Yep.
Like, hands down, if the Naga had just been there during the start of the team fight. So, overall, Zenith, I mean, it wasn't the greatest team fight for them. They're still in the game, obviously. They have great team fight potential still. Gold is actually slightly in favor of World Elite at the moment, and Experience about 3,000 in favor, as we could see a potential pickoff here in middle lane on the VS.
Queen of Pain manages to blink to safety. In the meantime, looks like Venge is going to make it back to safety as well. We almost saw our Queen of Pain die atop to Lycan. But yeah, I mean, we just haven't seen Naga be the force under the control of Zenith that she was when controlled by World Elite. That's really the only way to put it. Like, the Naga play we saw at a World Elite was just outstanding. Just utterly, completely changing the outcome of every fight just by virtue of her ability set. In terms of Zenith, I mean, she's getting the job done, doing great damage through the defusal. And she's hit some ults, but it is not the same game-changing performance we saw previously. Looks like they're going to try and change that up, pulling back onto their side of the jungle, possibly looking for a smoke. No, they're just chasing Venge, actually. Venge is going to be caught and enchanted. Impetus from the distance. They're going to see the stun. Doesn't matter. Naga Siren's there. Riptide, ensnare, and a quick kill.
That VS has a thing for being behind enemy lines, I guess. That's the second time I've seen him in that position. And speaking of, looks like we're going to see some more action bottom, too.
Vino blows the ulti. There's the X marks the spot. And you got to give Chan credit, man. I was not sold on the Kunkka pick, but he has used that combination to extremely solid effect. Pretty much the entire game. Anytime he's there, it seems like there's a kill that is picked up because of X marks the spot plus Torrent. So... Speaking of, I haven't checked his... I mean, inventory's got drums and his urn, so... Playing solidly. Did pick up phase boots. They're going to be looking to continue to be a mobile presence all over the map for at least the foreseeable future. Naga now getting free farm back up at top. Diffusal's done. 2,000 gold in the bank. And we'll see what the next item happens to be, but... I really got to give World Elite credit. They have surprised me. They have played extraordinarily well, given the lineup they're against.
I agree, man. Like, they've done an excellent job of preventing the LOL Naga ult just win a team fight guaranteed, which I kind of figured was going to be coming out from Zenith in spades, especially this game. They just have so much like that they can do in terms of follow-up. And by the way, Rubik stole level 2 shapeshift, so now he can turn into a wolf if he really wants to. And by the way, if you don't melee in that, you actually still shoot out your little green bolt or whatever the heck that thing is supposed to be.
Yep.
It's actually pretty funny to see.
Yeah, we'll see if he manages to put it to use. But I mean, let's take a look at what World Elite has done. We were talking during the pick ban phase. We've seen the strength of a relatively unopposed Naga Siren who just had her way in game number 1 and game number 2, even though game number 1 was not won by the team she was on. But I mean, seems to me like a pretty solid way to try and deal with her. Just be constantly moving. Don't be caught together. Try to, if they're gonna 5 push, let them 5 push. I mean, obviously they can force a fight anytime they want like that, but let's not give them any fights outside of that. Like, let's force them to try and commit to grab us, and that's what we're gonna see here. As Tide's picked up, Riptide is gonna go ahead and blow the Ravage though. Buys himself time for TP reactions. Here comes the whole damn team. Rubik, he's got the little green orb in front of him. He's using that to attack. Very funny looking little Rubik, and yeah, he does go ahead and change back. But yeah, keeping Tide alive there, pretty big deal, even if it did cost him a Ravage. Now with Ravage down, Zenith might want to think about just pouring the aggression on during this interval, this 2-minute interval, where they know they're not going to have to deal with that.
I think it would be in their favor. The only problem is everyone's kind of spread out amongst the map at the moment. I mean, Ice is farming, and wow, okay, so Queen of Pain gets picked off middle lane.
Yep.
Some nice Plague Ward blocking right there, and I can only imagine some stun action coming out from the VS and the Kunkka. So, I mean, Queen of Pain is a hero where you normally just can play cocky because of the fact that you have a blink to escape, but if you get X'd, you're gonna die.
Yeah.
Like, that's just how it's gonna work in this particular case, because VS has pretty much always been there to help Kunk out.
Well, that's exactly what happened there. I actually had the camera there for that. Tide got an X marks the spot and torn off, also threw out the boat. And the boat smashed into her face, and that was kind of that. But, yeah, and then, you know, Zenith is going to go ahead and push. And I think this is the wise decision. They know they're not going to have to do. And, yeah, with TP reactions, what are you going to do? TP on top of the Siren? You're not going to do that. You can't do it. So just a free tower taken by Zenith. And the counter push, though, looks like it's going to be on the way from World Elite. Pipe is done on Tide. That's a pretty big deal. Given the Queen of Pain is going to be back up in 1 second. Yep, she's back on the map now. And World Elite, with no real regard for Naga Siren, says, fine, let's see what you got. You're going to push mid. Here comes Naga Siren. She is not going to blow the ulti yet. Instead, World Elite pulls back. And, yeah, just a feint of a fight. No real action.
They might have been waiting for their Rubik, or maybe not. I'm not really sure. I think they could have actually gone on that. The pipe was popped a little bit prematurely. It actually would have wore off if he had just ulted right there, because it had gone like 4 seconds or so. So he could have ulted, waited the pipe duration out, then had the vacuum combination with the Darkseer wall, obviously, and the Queen of Pain to follow up, which would have been pretty nice, but not really sure if they would have won that team fight 4v5 anyway. Again, Rubik wasn't there.
Well, Loda is making progress towards his pipe. He's already got up his Vanguard and his Soul Ring, so we'll see him be more and more of a factor as the game wears on. But yeah, and both teams, I think, beginning to feel just how slim the margin in this game is going to be. We actually are going to see Venge caught out again. Is she going to survive? Good swap there. Kunkka left out to dry, but, well, actually he doesn't have the health. He can't really afford because of the double damage rune, but both of them are going to make it back, so good for them. Very good swap there. And now the Naga ulti goes off, and then, yeah, she's just going to use it to pull back. Just the power of that ability. That should have been a dead Siren. Instead, makes it back to safety very easily.
That hero, man. And the thing is that's really, really bad right now for World Elite is that hero's ultimate is on a 60-second cooldown, man.
Yep.
60 seconds. It's going to be up every single time they team fight, no matter what.
Lycan walked into a trap, but has the mobility to get himself to safety. It would seem, yeah, he's going to make it back to a tower pretty easily. Queen of Pain and Darkseer baited him out, but just not a whole lot done in terms of trying to kill him. Roche back up soon. And it looks, begins to look like one of those games. I mean, when you're at 30 minutes and you see both teams playing this closely and this passively, oh, hang on. Rubik is going to be picked off basically for free. So World Elite has 40 seconds to capitalize if they so choose. But usually, I mean, it's 2020. We'll take a look at the gold graph. I'm sure it's close. Yeah, 1,500 gold at 30 minutes is nothing. And this takes on the air of a game that's going to be won and lost in the Roche pit.
I kind of feel the same way, too. I think there's going to be a point where, at least in the next 2 or 3 minutes, both teams are going to kind of walk over here and try to see if they can get away with doing it.
Yep.
I think, obviously, World Elite's going to have a slight advantage just because they are dire. If they can get in a position before it spawns, they already have the Tide and the Venomancer sitting towards the bottom lane, which don't do that much damage. I mean, they're going to have the Lycan there as well. I mean, he's pretty much all their physical damage output at this point. And he's actually got another ultimate orb on top of his scythe, so I'm not sure what he's going for, but he does need to be a little bit careful here in his own jungle.
Help shows up. Lincoln Sphere complete on Queen of Pain. Going to keep her safe for the moment. Courier, though. Oh, the Fearless Badger. Is going to make it back to safety. Most overpowered Courier in the game, by the way. And
I mean, he's got balloons strapped to him, so
dude,
I agree.
He's got balloons and like a little propeller. You kidding me? He's just awesome. He's the best Courier. But, yeah, I mean, it's the problem really for World Elite is if this is that kind of game where it's going to be won and lost in the Roche picks. I mean, they can't give away Roche. They just can't. They're going to have to fight over it. And so long as Zenith plays cautiously enough to be in full shape, all of their abilities off of cooldown when Roche does spawn, a fight like that favors them. Like, no matter what, even with a good Ravage, it just doesn't matter. Even if you Ravage before Naga Siren gets off the ulti, you have to go in behind the Ravage, obviously. You can't just Ravage and try to do damage from a distance. They're going to have to go in. And that favors Zenith in a very, very big way. Not to mention, I mean, Rubik can steal any of the myriad of AoE abilities that could be cast. But it's something World Elite, I'm sure, is very conscious of, and I'm interested to see how they're going to deal with it. Do they feel confident enough in their ability to team fight at this point, even though, well, I guess I should say because the Siren has not had the same effect when handled by Zenith as she did in game number 1 and 2 when handled by World Elite, or are they going to adopt a different kind of strategy down the stretch?
I think they're still on kind of a clock here.
Yeah.
Kunkka's farm is pretty good, but he's not going for like the, get crit, try to one-shot some of the supports and just win your team fight from there.
Right.
Naga Siren actually just picked up an entire heart at the same time, so now she's up to about 2,500 HP even with int treads on, which means that anytime they focus her, it's pretty much not going to be that effective. She has 18 base armor as well because she's an agility hero, and might be looking to catch somebody out here in World Elite's jungle. They just need to be careful about how they position. And if Ty gets picked off here, that would be so bad.
Oh, yeah.
He really... Okay, I think he'll be okay.
Yeah, I was worried about that too. Gonna see the ensnare go off. Just gonna have some mana burn. Basically, there's a swap from Venge getting it back to safety. It's a weird looking ensnare whenever we see that. Now, though, looks like we're gonna have a fight in the jungle. And we're gonna see the Hex. The Hex is actually gonna catch our Queen of Pain. She makes it to the high ground, though. How much are they gonna commit? Naga Siren has... Yep, they're not going to retreat. They're going to fight it out. There's the vacuum. Off comes the Kunkka boat as well. Big Ravage goes off. Doesn't really catch much, however. Naga Siren is going to drop. The Queen of Pain comes in and brings the pain. Big ulti from the side. Pipe is up, but it's up a little too late. Veno is going to drop. It's 1 for 1 right now. Rubik has the Anchor Smash stolen, so more AoE potential. Darkseer, though, looks like he's going to drop. Venge sitting on about 5 hit points. Somehow still alive, as is Darkseer. Somehow alive. Not for long, though, as he's caught out. And now Rubik, the baby wolf, running from the daddy wolf, trying to get it, trying to make it home to mama. And let's see, is he gonna make it? Is he gonna make it? Either way, World Elite handled that fight well. And up there's the Hex and a very fast pig. Rubik continues to run, and he is gonna make it back to safety. But I was surprised to see Zenith go ahead and go in instead of using the Naga Siren ulti to retreat. I really didn't think that fight favored them, and at the end of the day, it didn't.
A lot of that has to do with the fact that Kunkka managed to land his boat on his own teammates, and as important as it is to land your boat in terms of getting the stun off and the damage, it's great, but the buff that boat gives you, 50% reduced damage, that's a huge deal, especially when Zenith's lineup is pretty much entirely comprised around burst, and I mean, he pretty much hit everyone, so there was 8 seconds of taking that reduced damage. You get to run 10% faster as well, so that's definitely great. You do take the damage afterwards, but if you've killed everybody before you take the extra bonus damage, and it can't be lethal, by the way, so even if you take more than half your health, if you take the extra afterwards, it doesn't kill you.
Right.
Yeah, you don't have to worry about death in that case, and that's why World Elite came out so far ahead. Oh, wow. Okay, VS just got zapped.
I heard it, didn't see it. Was keeping an eye to see who was going to pick up the Aegis. It does end up being Lycan. 22-23, favoring World Elite right now, so neither team has really opened up an unassailable gap, but what concerns me is that Naga Siren should have hit her stride a while ago. Like, the fights that were going to be won should have been won. And at best, Zenith has been breaking even in the last couple of engagements, and that's at best. Given the just the inherent advantages they picked themselves, I honestly would say they've been coming out behind because they've been breaking even at that stage of the game. And as the inventories continue to fill up, oh wow, Enchantress is going to be caught out, going to be hexed, and let's see how much Luo wants to commit to this. Does not want to commit that much. In the meantime, Queen of Pain does get a tower at top, so taking what's being given. But once again, World Elite's on the warpath, man.
They should be. They're feeling pretty confident with their lineup. I love the Kunkka pick here after thinking about it a little bit more because I was kind of thinking to myself, yeah, Boat's definitely good, Torrent's good. It's a double stun combination. If you can line it up with a Tide Ravage, it would be great. But it's a multifaceted pick here, and we're going to see another Naga Siren actually more defensively, I think, than anything else. Or he might just be keeping everybody over here at bay to pick off the other 2 heroes on the right-hand side, which will also work. Managed to get the kill on the Venomancer.
Yep, Veno did drop. Hang on, Lycan's been picked up. He's thrown down. Pipe is up. There's a vacuum, and the Darkseer wall is going to connect. BKB comes up a bit late. Pipe up on both sides. And Lycan ensnared down. Here comes the boat. Boat is more or less going to whiff. Rubik being picked up on the backside. On the top side, we see a lot of damage being done to Lycan by a set of Rubik wolves. Venge is going to drop to the Impetus. Now Veno's there. He's in trouble. Off goes a very late Ravage. Manages to catch 4, however. Oh, Queen of Pain with a good ulti from the high ground. Finishes it out with a scream. 3 down for nil so far. Tide looks like he's going to drop. Lycan, though, is going to be able to show back up and get a kill. Queen of Pain able to finish up World Elite and blink away. That's the kind of engagements Zenith has been looking for, and really the kind of engagements I think myself, you, and the viewers have been expecting. And weirdly enough, Naga Siren wasn't really the lead-in for that fight. She held him in place over in the jungle, but it was more or less their ability to pick off a couple of supports.
Getting the Venomancer was huge. I mean, let's keep in mind that this is a mid Venomancer too, so he actually has a decent amount of farm. He's got Mech Vitality Booster, Force Staff, Ghost Scepter. He's level 17, so level 3 Ultimate. Not having to worry about that coming out from him. That's a lot less damage they're going to have to worry about taking. And that was the kind of team fights that they're always going to be want to take. You know, you just want to make sure you can pick people off if you can.
We see Rubik did steal the boat, tosses it in. Lycan trying to force this back, doing a pretty decent job. Naga Siren's there, just chasing down Venge, and going to get the ensnare off. Riptide does good damage. Stun, though, buys her a little time, not nearly enough. She drops once again. Rest of the team beginning to pop up now from World Elite. Still a couple of seconds on Tide. He's back, 40-some seconds on Venge. How much does Zenith want to commit? Looks like they may just go ahead. Well, they got mechs. They could heal up and push. Nope. They're going to go ahead and pull all the way back. Enchantress making no overtures, as if she was going to head on across the river. 28-24, all said and done, as we approach the 38-minute mark. Take a look at the goal graph. And yeah, definitely favoring the Radiant side now. So Zenith really needed a big team win. They were beginning to have this game slip away from them. They got it when they needed it most.
Agreed, man. They definitely did a great job of splitting them up, kind of taking them out one by one. And the more I think about it, it's like the Kunkka boat in itself might be enough of a counter to the kind of synergy that they're running from Zenith alone to warrant the pick, which I think is definitely why they did it in the first place. I mean, he's been lining some nice torrents. He's been using X combination very well, and there's been a couple of decent boats, but for the most part, I think he's really just using it for the buff. And that's pretty ingenious picking, if I'm being totally honest here. I mean, I didn't even think about it when I first picked it up. I'm like, yeah, Kunkka's an okay hero. He's just not seen that much because he's so heavily reliant on skill shots.
Yep.
So I think that overall, World Elite doing a very creative draft and actually making it work. So hopefully they can see if they can make themselves back into this game. Although after that kind of team fight, Zenith has a very commanding lead.
Yeah, absolutely. World Elite wants to try and cut that lead down. They're smoked up. But Zenith very wisely playing cautiously now. Everyone on their team on their own side of the river. And certainly now that they notice everyone that all at once has gone missing. Not going to risk being caught out. And, yeah, I mean, again, that's what they needed the most. And they kind of had to have it there. They lose another team fight there. World Elite just hits that point where they can just start walking down the lanes. And it's going to be very, very hard for a team to slow that kind of momentum down after you've lost that many consecutive fights. And again, you don't even want to say they lost a lot of fights consecutively because they broke even in a couple. But given the starts that they had in a lot of ways, I mean, breaking even when you're going to have a Naga Siren, a Dark Seer, and especially a Rubik that manages to steal abilities like the boat, and it had Ravage at one point. Like, breaking even's just not good enough. That's where they should shine. And up until that last fight, they hadn't really done that, but World Elite knows they can't just flat out 5-on-5 right now.
The later the game goes, I think they're going to be slightly favored. You also have to worry about Vengeful Spirit, who's going to have the 36% damage aura, so that's maxed out. And you have heroes like Lycan as well, who can add additional damage via the Howl, and Kunkka as well, who, if he does go for a crit after a BKB, I think it's a possibility. You always have to worry about the potential crit and just doing a tremendous amount of damage to basically the supports. 1,400 health on Enchantress, 1,200 on Rubik. I've seen crits that will basically one-shot those heroes at the later stages of the game. So I think it's still anyone's game at this stage, but I think that Zenith is definitely still going to be favored going into the next handful of team fights. It's just going to be down to, you know, are people going to get picked off like that again? That's really what they can't allow to happen. They need to absolutely have 5 heroes if Zenith decides to play aggressive. 100%
agree, my friend. If you're just tuning in, we just rolled past 40 minutes. This is game number 3 of this best-of-3 series between World Elite and Zenith and Monthly Madness Asia. I'm AC, joined by Draskell. And it's been a hell of a ride, man. These two teams have taken us for one hell of a ride in all 3 of these games. There's the Hex on Venge. Oh, wow. Venge just walked up, looked at Enchantress, and died, basically. That's a problem. She's down for 45 seconds, anywhere in the vicinity of enough gold for a buyback. Doesn't even have enough gold for a collect call at this point. And they're going to have to try and defend this 4-on-5. Siren blows the mirror image, has the ulti ready to go. Here they come. Let's see when she wants to use it. She's actually falling back. World Elite, I'm a little baffled. Why they haven't engaged yet is just kind of beyond me. They were in a beautiful position. Everyone had to group up for that counter push. And now we see Ice move in. Pipes pop. The Hex goes off on Shan on the side. Let's see. Still waiting on the ulti. Tide still hasn't blown the Ravage. There's the Veno ulti out now. And the Ravage still waiting. Good impetus damage, though, from Enchantress. She did finish the Aghanim Scepter. In comes the boat. And now Naga Siren, in some trouble, is going to blow the ulti. And BKB's up on Kunkka, but he can't just stand and fight. Tide going to be caught. And I'm just utterly baffled. Like, why? And then, yeah, oh, wow, that Ravage catches the whole team. Ice is in trouble. We already see one drop, mirror image, but Darkseer's there with a big wall. Wall could be the difference. Kunkka has to fall back. Lycan taking big damage and snared down, and he's going to drop. Tide, Venge, and Kunkka charged a bit too far out and may pay the price here. Chan is going to be vacuumed back. He's going to drop. There's a buyback from Lycan trying to keep his team in this game. Looks like it may be enough. Rubik got way too far out and is going to die because of it. Ice.
That was a manly Rubik.
Yeah, that's a very man-mode Rubik. There's going to be a Hex. And Siren's there. Very tanky Siren. Darkseer blows the pipe to keep himself alive. Venge is going to drop again. Ice with the Manta. Not enough mana to use it, however. Heart, though, more than enough to give him the health he needs to get back. But that was just a weird engagement. I understand trying to wait to pull the trigger for the right moment. But waiting to use it as a retreat sort of an ability, I think, is just misuse. 100%.
It's kind of hard to say, because if they knew the Tidehunter Ravage was up, saving it to retreat was actually an okay idea. They just didn't quite kill the racks as fast as I thought they would. The problem is you either decide you're going to go all in, or you want to have something to fall back on. And like I was saying earlier, I think that Zenith is definitely like completely focused this game. They're definitely showing a much more stylized draft, and they really want to try to win this. So I understand the reason why they would hold it in that situation, but at the same time, if you kind of just pop the ult, walk in, try to kill the racks, and then run, even if you do lose your team, like, how is World League going to counter-push that? They have nowhere to go. I mean, at the very best, they could have gone to Roshan and waited for it, but at the time they would have respawned from Zenith, then I think that the Roshan would have probably been up in time for them to get there. So, I don't know. It's questionable, I guess, but I think that it wasn't too bad. They didn't lose Naga Siren, so that's definitely good for them. And then Naga Siren's getting pretty big, by the way.
Yep, Lycan could be in some trouble here. In fact, there's no could be. He is going to be in some trouble here. Held in place with the ensnare. As tanky as he is, they still bring him down. Now, he's down for 90 seconds, and he just bought back. So, we'll see how Zenith wants to capitalize. Big boy is back up, so can only imagine they're going to beeline for the Roche pit. And with Lycan down, there's just not a lot that can be done. I mean, World Elite just is not going to be able to challenge Roche if they decide to try it. And they're not. They're actually going to go ahead and try to pick off another kill, and they may find a Venomancer. There's the Surge. Vacuum will pull him back. Not even necessary. Diffusal Blade slows him down. Force Staff to the high ground. Regen Rune over in the river. Vacuum's there. Now the Ghost Scepter keeps him alive a bit, but Rubik's there to pick him up as he tries to TP. 70 seconds on Veno. Around 60 on Lycan. Let's see how Zenith wants to capitalize. Looks like they're just going to move down mid as Enchantress cleans up the creeps on their side of the river. Queen of Pain in the meantime, split pushing bottom. I love this. I like what they're doing. They're going to get something out of this one way or the other. She's going to be able to just melt this creep wave, no problem. And with the two, with arguably the second most important support on the team down, as well as the main source of damage out, I mean, they got to commit to one or the other. And we can see Queen of Pain just happy to go ahead and trade blows there. Now they're going to pop the Glyph. World Elite doing everything they can to keep themselves back into this. Ravage is up whenever they want to use it. One melee Rax is going to drop. Here we go. Boat is going to connect on his own teammates. XY absorbing the brunt of the damage. Just, I mean, hanging in. Just really, that's the only word for it. Just able to draw their attention long enough. There's the ensnare going to catch Icy. Ravage is still there. Use it or lose it. Expect it. Not going to happen. He's probably going to try. No, they're just going to call GG. I was going to say I didn't know if he had buyback, but it doesn't matter. Zenith puts it in the books. Final score 37-26, at least before they start farming the well. Gold graph, yeah, they took control again right about 35 minutes and never really looked back.
No real surprise there. I mean, when you have a carry hero going Midas, the later stages of the game, I mean, it is 46 minutes in, 288 CS, 7-2 and 17. He definitely did a great job, and regardless of whether or how they use the ultimate, especially during the push phases, I don't really think it mattered too much. Their team synergy was maybe just a little bit too much for World Elite to handle. I gotta hand it to them though, man. They held it off very, very nicely for a long time. About 35 minutes or so is when things kind of started to go south for World Elite, so unable to actually take out Zenith here, but at the very least surprising me quite a bit. I was very, very impressed with what they did today. I think that they have a very bright future in Dota 2, and I look forward to seeing more out of them in the future.
Absolutely. Great play here out of both teams. Zenith does advance 2-1, though. World Elite takes their exit from Monthly Madness Asia. We'll be seeing Zenith in the Final Four. Taking a look at stats, kind of tough to pick a most valuable player. I mean, Siren played fairly well. 7-2-17, not shabby at all. Loda played a very good Darkseer as well. I think this is one of those games where it's just such a team effort. It's hard to pick out one true standout player on the side of Zenith.
I agree. It is kind of hard. I just like the fact that Rubik's supports are so fun to watch because that hero really displays like an individual player's skill, what you steal at what particular time, how you use it. I really think that the stand-in actually did a very good job. It's ironic that I'm saying that this stand-in is like one of my candidates for somebody who played amazingly well, but especially bottom, he stole the Ravage, had a really nice turnaround team fight in favor of Zenith, and you have to imagine too, like, World Elite was not that far behind in terms of like golden experience for a very, very long point in the game. And there was actually a stage where I felt like they could feasibly win pretty easily. The Lycan's itemization was pretty strange. He actually went Manta and Scythe instead of going for the standard like Necronomicon BKB that we typically see. So I think that World Elite still had a pretty good showing, but I think that Rubik definitely played a pretty solid game in my opinion.
Absolutely. Naga Siren bans incoming. Pretty much all I have to say about this best of three. Thanks for tuning in, guys. I'm AC, and Draskell was here with me for this broadcast. Monthly Madness Asia. This Friday edition's in the books. We're back tomorrow at 10:30 in the morning Eastern Standard Time. That's, of course, 7:30 a.m. Much love to you, Dras, for being a boss and getting up super early to cast Dota. That's Pacific Standard Time, and you can do the time conversions from there. See, 10:30 would make it 4:30 Central European Time, and on down the line. So make sure you hit follow. We'd love to have you back in the future, and we've still got a lot of Round 8 left to go. Going to be casting tomorrow, on Sunday, and then next Friday to round out this Round of 8. So make sure you stay tuned to itsgosu.com for all updates so far as the schedule and what have you, and great previews written up by Gosu Mali, who also happens to be the lead admin in the background. Monthly Madness Asia, kind of his baby, his brainchild, and has done so much work to make this a success. So thanks to him. Thanks to the sponsors, NOS Energy Drink, Own 3D TV, Max Integration, Team Razor, and of course, itsgosu.com. And thanks to you, Draskell. Where can people find more information about you?
If they want to watch other casts, I actually do play-by-play casting as well, so you can find that on the other casting channel / NeoDota, or personal channel, which is Draskell with 2 L's, and of course, Twitter at Draskell. So a little bit of a theme there, but I like to think of myself as a pretty creative guy.
Yeah, we tend to keep it simple. You can find me on Twitter as well at AC. Well, I believe we are donezo for the day, but again, make sure you hit follow. We want to have you back tomorrow, 10:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, 4:30 Central European Time. Head to itsgosu for all the decals. Taking me out, Ronald Jinkies. This is Almost Undamaged. We'll see you tomorrow, guys. Take it easy.
Snoop Dogg. Can you be my doctor? Can you fix me up? Can you wipe me down? So I can make you give it up till you say my name like a jersey. Shutting down the game, be my head coach, so you can and never take me out till you can taste the wind. Do it again and again till you say my name. And by the way, I'm so glad. I just wanna make you sweat. I wanna make you sweat. I just wanna make you sweat. I wanna make you sweat. I just wanna make you sweat. I wanna make you sweat. I just wanna make you sweat. I wanna make you sweat. Sweat. Can you give me up like I'm late from my first class, so I can give it to you off like a first draft? Hold you like a paper plane, you know I got paper, babe. But them dollar bills, girl, make it rain. Holiday Inn, come and meet me on my 8th floor. Damn, it feels good, but I feel bad for the mates, though. And I apologize, but when I slip, I turn girls into slip and slide. I just wanna make you sweat. I wanna make you sweat. I just wanna make you sweat. I wanna make you sweat. I just wanna make you sweat.